Tiger Brokers the next 10 baggers? There's increasing short interest to the roof. Risk only if you can take the risk. Appreciate a like if you like this video and do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Recent developments at Tiger Brokers. This is what I have covered previously. Short sellers only see worst case scenario. 14th October to 18th October. These are the news which I covered previously in one of my videos, so I won't touch on this. On 27th October, Mr. Sun Tianyi, Director of PBOC Financial Stability Department, commented that online brokerage firms facilitating overseas investment by Chinese citizens are carrying out illegal activities. But the strange part is the quote from reputable news media that he mentioned is on the quantity of funds from Chinese citizens for these two brokerage firms, but he did not state the names of Tiger and Futu explicitly. Price naturally tends over 20% in pre-market. Why? Because there's fear over what may happen. The question now is, are we buying C business with free option? Well, since there's so much worries over the business viability of Tiger Brokers, I will touch on the Tiger Brokers corporate structure, which is extracted from the prospectus in 201819. Here's the corporate structure where UP Fintech Holding is the listing company. You'll see that Tiger Brokers Sing is actually held through a BVI company, Xian Shan UP Fintech, and the Tiger Brokers Singapore is actually owning the Singapore licenses. So the Singapore license itself is safe. For Top Capital Partners New Zealand entity, they are holding an Australian entity. The Australian license is here, so Australian license itself is safe as well. For Tiger Fintech US entity, US Tiger Securities and other US entities are held here. The US licenses are safe as well. For JV Uptech Holding, which is a BVI entity, the Hong Kong entity is held here. The question is this the entity acquiring the joint ocean securities firm that hold the Hong Kong license? So Hong Kong license, think through, but I think should be safe. So UP Fintech International Hong Kong entity and Hong Kong entity is holding the Chinese entities either through contractual arrangements or certain ownership structure. There's one thing here, the Tiger Tech Corp Hong Kong entity that held certain New Zealand entities. The question here is whether New Zealand entities, in terms of their license, are held here or here in this Top Capital Partners. There's no license in China. The question is, any chance to apply for an internet brokerage license to facilitate overseas investment by Chinese citizens? The notes here is, where is the Hong Kong license parked? The second point is, where is the New Zealand license parked? And the next question naturally is, will CSRC issue China license? Here is the scenario analysis that I did in my previous video, where I mentioned about the worst case scenario, the scenario 2, China initiate a pilot test on overseas investment, and best case scenario, Tiger Brokers received the internet brokerage license that allows them to facilitate overseas investment by Chinese citizens. You can take a look at my previous video if you want to have a more detailed understanding of the scenario analysis that I've gone through. I hear you naysayers, so I spent on the worst case scenario, Singapore management takeover. Why? Because I assume that China operations are affected and senior management of China operations are fine and not allowed to have any dealings with the company, and Singapore management take over global activities. But because of the trading platform being linked to Alibaba Cloud, this allows the easy migration of trading network. The point that I need a tech expert to comment on how easy or how difficult can this be done. To me, this business, the trading and investment platform business, is really about brand equity and customer deposit. As long as customers in Southeast Asia maintain their confidence in Tiger Broker business and keep their deposits in Tiger Brokers, there is value for Tiger Southeast Asia business. This is an updated Tiger Brokers corporate structure that I assume on the worst case scenario that CSRC does not issue the China license, so the Chinese operations are dissolved. The New Zealand operations will be affected. This depends on where they park their New Zealand license. Then again, that could be done legally by injecting the Tiger Tech Corp Hong Kong entity and a certain New Zealand entities directly under UP Fintech International Hong Kong entity. This is a valuation metric that I've done previously for Robinhood, iFast, etc. So you can take a look of the valuation. It's important to note that the valuation per customer deposit right now is 0.046 USD per customer deposit. Just based on this metric, Tiger Broker is severely underpriced by the market without regard to the China deposits at all, and in fact just valuing the Southeast Asia business at a very big discount. This is the scenario analysis slide that I've done before. I updated the numbers. So what is Tiger Broker's Southeast Asia customer deposit by year end 2021? This is a point that you have to think through. I've done certain numbers in terms of what could be the possible Southeast Asia deposit. You need to have a view on what is this number so that you can arrive at certain valuation based on IFAS pricing. This is the before cash figure, and this is the after including 0.1 billion cash. Again, I try to be more conservative there, 0.2 to 0.3 billion cash, but I just use 0.1 billion, assuming they pay a certain penalty in terms of the worst case scenario that last year's always been demanding. The question here right now is, are we buying at current price, which is buying the Southeast Asia business at fair value or a big discount, and get a free option on the sudden positive regulatory swing? Maybe, who knows? China authorities suddenly allow the issuance of internet brokerage license in the favor of Tiger Brokers and Food too. The current regulatory outlook doesn't look that positive. Nevertheless, PBOC, CSRC, and SAFE will have to discuss. It's not a pure regulatory point. There's also a think through in terms of the renminbi internationalization strategy. Here's the return metrics that I've updated based on current price of around 7.3 USD. Look through and think through in terms of what is the potential downside and potential upside. You really have to have a view on what's the customer deposit from Southeast Asia customers to form a base in terms of the security and margin of safety of entry into any investment in Tiger Brokers. As always, this should not be construed as any investment or trading advice. Do stay tuned and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can be kept updated promptly when I release new videos to reflect the changing market conditions.